if your kids are young and you're looking for dad jokes, you should connect with Chad. He could help you out.
Yeah.
I spent a lifetime preparing for them.
Welcome everyone to Retireholics. Brandon, you and I are connected by some alien freaking force. I'm going to tell a story and your intro is going to go right along with my story.
I missed the whole intro.
Jeez.
Can you play it again?
Maybe you can play it after my story.
Yeah.
Might go well. Yo, what up? Welcome to Retireholics. the podcast that Investopedia ranked the #1 shittiest Zoominar in all of finance.
That would actually be an accomplishment. Let's be honest.
You know what, everybody? I think sometimes it's important for you all to get to know us on a more intimate level, if you know what I mean, more about what we're all about. So today, much against Brandon's advice, I've written something that's way too long, but it's a little story. And it's about the genesis of all of our lives. And I would like to read it to you all to kick off today's show. Once upon a time in the 1970s, a couple of weeks after the deadline for processing corrective distributions, I was born. That's in April for some of you people that don't know. The place of my birth, a cubicle in a TPA office building. That cubicle became my childhood room, and the dirty keyboard was my pillow. I survived off those little sugar cubes and stealing employees' meals out of the break room refrigerator. My first spoken words, employer qualified non-elective contribution. And my mother sang bedtime stories, tales of a man called Frederic, and short stories about the adventures of Arissa. Once I reached the age of 6, my father started my training. While the other kids learned their ABCs, I learned my ADPs and my ACPs. Eventually, my training evolved to choosing the perfect tie and cufflinks to match. I could sell 401k plans like Kelly Slater rides the barrel. Through my father's tutelage, I had reached 401k nirvana. Next came Chad. I adopted him as an infant and raised him on my own. He was nourished by the 401k milk from my teat. Eventually, I would hand down all of my secrets that my TPA father bestowed upon me. I got more.
Way to go, Mark.
No, Brandon, no. Oh, I've got like 2 more pages.
Brandon, the password for the buttons didn't work. Sorry, Katie.
Chad would grow into a fine young man, and the student would become the teacher. Nerdy Chad found Justin in his 20s, just scraping by in a semi-pro hockey league for the mute. He would teach Justin the ancient craft of TPA. And not only would Justin find his voice, but also his love for 401k, culminating at a career high point when he won the 2009 ASPA taco eating contest. ASPA officials still claim this was not a contest, but merely a buffet. Finally, in a juvenile detention facility, JD, Chad, and Justin saw a sight unbearable to see. A young teenage robe guy in a padded room, chained to a wall, in a robe.
You gotta let me fly!
In a robe unwashed for weeks. On the walls of his cell were scratched the words, "You know what they say." Well, the boys saved robe guy from this hell on earth, taught him the craft And eventually he discovered his natural gift for picking stocks. Over the years, a magical bond was created between these four, a bond that cannot be broken, not by the disruptors, not by the payroll providers, and not even by the evil fucking peps. They fight for 401k justice. They fight for the liberty and freedom for all financial advisors. With the wind of ERISA at their backs, no goal is too high, no dream too big. They are called the Retireholics. Oh, fuck. Yeah, that was long.
Woo! Man,
Stuck
I'm
with it.
fired up.
All right. Justin, this is the time of the show where you intro the guest.
Wow.
And you all out there in the audience, you know what to do. You're going to rank Justin. All right, Justin,
How
take
much
it away.
time do I have for this? You took up a lot of my.
Well, this is the show where we go very long on everything. That's the
All right.
theme.
All right,
I be
today's
scared?
guest joins us from sunny San Diego. For the past 2 years running, he's been voted one of the top 3 financial advisors in the United States. He's got a French bulldog named Paisley. She's a triple mixed breed, which he refers to as diversified, just like his portfolio. It's important to never interrupt him when he's watching the Arizona Wildcats. I certainly hope his returns he gets for his clients are better than their record these past few years. Just like the great Michael Kitsis, he dons a DigiPixel headshot on LinkedIn. He's a big nerd of Scotland's favorite pastime and believes Nico's in Ocean Beach has a better burrito than Seaside Market in Cardiff, which is a pretty big statement. He's a certified financial planner and founder of Define Financial, Taylor Schulte.
Golf clap. Just want to let everyone know Justin gets 90% of that off of his website's homepage. So keep in mind. All right, everyone, give him a 0 to 10 for Justin's score. 0
How
to
am I
10.
supposed to get this stuff?
I'm going 4-7. 4-7.
Jeez.
Oh,
I feel
negative
like-
6 from
Jesus,
Greg.
Greg.
Yeah, oh.
Oh, me and Greg are on the same
You know what?
page.
I like how
Back to the
Greg
next
Greenfield.
guest. There are no more intros coming, boys.
I like how Greg
Showing.
Greenfield positioned Jerry Schlichter as the evil villain in my story of the Retireholics. That would be fun.
Hey, JD,
Yes, sir.
my buttons weren't working.
I owe
But
some
you
drinks.
owe about 47 drinks.
Okay, all right. We'll work on that. Come up with a
Figure
real
out that
number and
bottle.
I'll hammer those out.
At least 12. That's what I'm
Are
saying.
you
At least
fucking
12.
kidding me?
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's serious.
We were at 6 when you were describing yourself. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, then
All
we
right.
had 4 more at least.
1, 2, 3, 4. No, I'll get to those. Let's see. Guest of ours, Mr. Taylor. We're going to be playing some games today that you need to be aware of. We're going to be playing Chat Bar Champion. So if you can watch that chat bar at the end of the show, you will get to vote for your favorite person in the chat bar. And then they'll go to the finals and everyone out there in the audience will vote for the winner. Greg Greenfield, last week's winner of Chat Bar Champion. I last minute got your order in. You've got 10 large cookies of a variety of flavors coming your way and a pint of ice cream. Now,
nice.
I was given a choice to pick ice cream. They had vanilla, they had chocolate, they had salted caramel.
No.
But then at the bottom, it said cotton candy. And I thought, yuck. So I got you cotton candy.
That was
I was
Um,
just about to say the past winners that got the anchovy pizzas are probably really pissed. But you said cotton candy ice cream.
With the beer of the episode.
Why? Because fuck them, that's why.
Beer of the episode. I didn't go to the store today on the way to the office. And so at the office, I have Natural Light and I have Fred Reese's favorite.
Dude,
Dos
I
Equis.
have an idea, JD.
I already did your idea. I put them
mix
half and
them.
half,
Yeah.
half and half in a Mark's mug and I mixed it up. We'll
We've
call
never
it-
been more proud of you than right now, JD.
We'll call it Natural Dos Equis or something. Someone come up with a better name in the chat bar for the mix of Natural Light and Dos Equis. Okay, let's see.
Dose light.
Natty Eckies.
I want to get a lot of it to get a good feel for it, you know? I'll tell you what. Natty Light plus Dos Equis is better than Dos Equis on its own. I'm going to give it 3.5 robes out of 5.
Nice.
Not bad. Not bad. Okay, let's go to headlines, shall we? The first headline is a bit of a shocker in the 401k space here. BlackRock target date funds seem to be at the center of several lawsuits. This is at the National Association of Plan Advisors, written by our good old buddy, Nevin Adams. And this scares me. I'm okay with lawsuits. I'm okay with Schulte. What concerns me is the purpose of lawsuits being what they're calling bad performance of the target date funds. Basically comparing the BlackRock, which is the one that's under scrutiny here. And like a lot of these lawsuits, this is kind of this copy and paste thing, right? It's the same attorney that's going after different companies that all have the BlackRock funds and basically putting all the same words into their lawsuit. But I think these are scary times. I'm going to go straight to you, Chad, on the scariness from a 401k perspective. And I got a question for you, Taylor. You can't sue a plan based on the target date underperforming another target date, right, Chad? I mean, they all have reasonable, prudent asset allocation.
Well, I think that that's the metric that can be sued on, right? Is the actual part of the target date that's clarified in the IPS, in the investment policy statement and what the objectives are of the target date fund. Are they following what they're supposed to do? Are they to? Are they through? What's their equity exposure? You can't, I don't think you have merit to do a lawsuit just on performance.
That's the language that they're using. They're literally comparing it to Vanguard, American funds. I think it was the one with the letter after S and bro. Does that stand for something?
No.
Let me ask you, Taylor, as a financial planner, and we're going to dig deep into your financial planner brain. How do you feel about target date funds? This BlackRock lawsuit aside, unless you have some opinion on that, but I'm imagining as a planner, you're probably kind of anti-target date funds because I doubt you use them, or you use your own version of asset allocation that's better. So are you nope or dope on target date funds?
I'm definitely not anti-target date funds. I am curious about something in this lawsuit, though, and I'm wondering if part of it has to do with fees, underlying expense ratios. In other words, like, is there a lower cost alternative? Are they being sued because they have a fiduciary obligation to choose the lower cost funds?
That would be normal, and we've seen many lawsuits. Yes, Chad.
Did you see what Sullivan just put in the chat bar? He said it's actually the opposite, Taylor. They're being sued because they're putting low cost in front of performance. BlackRock is passive in nature with their target date suite. And essentially they're saying, like, look, you're trying to get so low and skinny in cost that you're not actually balancing out the portfolio well enough.
Yeah, I'll quote the lawsuit from Nevin. It says, at a high level, the suit alleges that the BlackRock target date funds are significantly worse performing than many of the mutual fund alternatives offered by target date fund providers. And throughout the class period, so they're clarifying, same class of share. This isn't a fee type of thing. Could not have supported an expectation by prudent fiduciaries that the retention of the plan was justifiable. They should have moved it to another target date because it's been so bad performing, which to me, this is ludicrous. Like, we all have been taught that not all target date funds are alike. We know that they have different glide paths. We know that they might tackle, equities and cash and bonds and international a little differently. But I think it's safe to say that none of these are rebel, reckless things. They all follow some type of investment policy statement, some reasonably prudent asset allocation. So to me, this is shocking, it's upsetting, and it's concerning that these lawsuits would be built around this allegation. And I hope that it comes up short, because this is not where things should be heading, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, look, is there a better way to construct a portfolio than a target date fund? I would argue yes, but I was just thinking about Morningstar just published their annual Mind the Gap study, measuring the behavior gap between, investors and actual funds themselves. And year after year, your balanced allocation funds have a smaller behavior gap. In other words, investors are behaving much better with asset allocation type funds, which I would throw target date funds into the mix. My only issue with target date funds is that most retail investors don't look under the hood and they see a 2040 fund because they're going to retire in 2040. and they don't actually look at what's underneath and how that fund behaves and how it's allocated. And a lot of times people think it is more conservative than it really might be. So, I mean, I'd love to see more standardization.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
We've learned that in the 401k community as well, Taylor, where a lot of participants have misconceptions about the purpose of a target date fund and how it's built. Unfortunately, a lot of them, Taylor, think that it's somehow guaranteed in some way, and they don't understand to versus through. They don't understand the different methodologies that are used. And that's just, that's part of the uphill battle that we have with participants. But it's interesting for me to hear that you're not anti-target date and you understand that, it could have a place. And I think part of our conversations today will have a lot of the same narrative that I want to learn more from you, which is, you get to work on this kind of one-on-one basis, if I understand your business model. And we're forced to work with like thousands of participants. Yeah. And so we're always looking for these simpler plug and play types of solutions, which obviously aren't going to be as customized as what you do for your clients, but still hopefully effective in our space. Chad, you had a thought. Sorry.
I was just getting ready to type John, and I think I forgot already. Oh, what I was going to say is, have any of you been a part of an education or enrollment meeting where to or through is discussed with the individuals? I think the answer would be no, never. It's discussed with a plan sponsor, perhaps, if the advisor's not just making the decision on their own. But we can't be that granular to expect or hope that a participant would understand the differences. We make a decision from the top down of what we believe is right for the general workforce of that company. And that's the kind of methodology that gets put into the core menu.
I mean, it's a far better approach, and we can leave the subject than trying to educate them on how to build a portfolio and then check back with us on your risk tolerance every 3 years so we can adjust. Like that's going to be a pretty hard execution plan with 500 people. So target dates do a decent job. I want to spotlight an advisor out there that I don't give him enough props from time to time. Jake Rushton, 401 Jake. I see a lot of his TikTok videos, things he does on LinkedIn. And sometimes I'm like, oh, geez, what's Jake up to today? What's he doing with his content that he's producing? God love him. But I ran across some stuff recently. I was like, wait a second. To Tony's point, Jake is the man. He did a VESTWELL thing. Y'all can see it up here on the screen, which, by the way, kind of innovative with Aaron Schum and VESTWELL. I like how they're using an advisor to kind of partner with, to kind of show the value of what they're doing. I love that strategic partnership. But I want to focus on this quote that's right behind my head here. This is a quote from Jake. The key is being able to adjust new ways of communication in the post-COVID world. A major trend I see here is building a community with your clients and their employees. That is a critical opportunity for advisors. And so, Taylor, for a moment, if you put yourself in the 401k advisor shoes, and trust me, we're going to get to the planning side of this stuff soon, but I want to get some of these 401k headlines out of the way. This community that Jake's talking about, this is something I think, this is a Chad Nuggets moment, although it's Jake's Nuggets we're talking about here. I really think what Jake is saying is, if you're a 401k advisor, if you could start to look at your 25 plans, your 50 plans, and start to look at them more as a community of people. And I think maybe some of the first steps are gathering the email addresses of those actual participants through your human resources contacts at those companies and start to build this community that Jake's talking about. I see lots of opportunities there, and it doesn't have to be wellness, and it doesn't have to be financial planning or this or that. It could be pure retirement plan education, but I'll go to Chad, and then if Mark and Justin, you can chime in. I mean, be honest with me. Do you feel like there's advisors that you're working with today that are creating these types of campaigns and relationships with the participants, this community?
Yes.
Good.
Absolutely, I do. I mean, it's a small minority, if I'm being honest with myself, because I don't want to say that that's truthful about our industry, but it's a small minority of advisors that are.
Taylor, let me ask you, I'm going to dig into your business model here in a bit, but you've got X amount of clients, these individuals, all north of 50, I'm assuming, or something like that. We'll get into that. 50 years of age. Do you have some type of strategy around a community or individually communicating with them, like staying in touch? I'm assuming you have to, right?
We do. I mean, not when I think of community, I think of taking a group of people and like pulling them together somehow. So
Digitally or physically, sure.
Yeah. We've attempted some, client events, virtual client events. It just doesn't seem to fit our demographic or our business. Our clients are all around the country. I think they find community in other ways. I host a retirement podcast, and a lot of them come to us from that podcast, and a lot of them know my family and my kids' names before they even reach out. So there's some form of community there that I think I've built with them and a larger audience.
You can maybe argue that, and we'll talk a bit, everyone, about who Taylor is and his business model here in a second. But you could argue because of your personal branding and because of everything that's out there, the podcast, the interviews that you've done, the media that's out there, I would call that also bringing your clients into a part of a community, because they're all experiencing that together. But to some of the comments in the chat bar, I agree. No, that's not what I think Jake's referring to. And what I think 401k advisors for sure should start to think about building is this community, this way of, Jake's huge on personal brand, right? So it's this way of making sure that if you've got 50 clients and they've each got 100 employees, that those 5,000 people know who you are, know that you're passionate about these things. They know that you can deliver education to them in these varieties, and maybe know that in a real great world, they can connect with each other and understand some better thing. Anyways, he motivated me. He inspired me. I wanted to fucking talk about it, so I did it.
I mean, it's essentially what we tried to do with 401k Academy, or did for many years. What we're doing here with Retireholics,
It's what we're doing right now. Sure.
We're creating this community of people who love what they do and we do, and want to be a part of a group that thinks, breathes, sleeps, talks about the same kind of stuff that we all do.
Let me go off my plan of attack based on the comments of just a few in the chat bar, and let's set the stage for who Taylor is for everyone. So quickly, Taylor, let everyone know your business model, where you're out of, how long you've been doing it, the types of clients that you're working with, and you give us a taste of the day-to-day of what you're doing, the business you're running.
Yeah. Well, I think the important part of building a community is there's got to be something, like-minded there to bring everybody together. So for this, 401k is a big part of that. But if you're a 401k advisor, maybe it's the company that brings everybody together. So for us, our firm, like you had said, we focus on working with people over age 50. We draw a hard line in the sand. If you're still in the accumulation phase and you're under age 50, we just don't have the right expertise to help. So we strictly focused on people over age 50, tax planning, retirement planning, investment management. We kind of take over the reins of everything. Day to day, I mean, my role of CEO of the firm is to grow the firm, manage the firm, hire.
Finish your thoughts, but you owe us a drink.
Do we even talk about Ackerson? Does Taylor know that that's a thing?
Maybe not.
We're playing games and they just move.
I mean, we've shown by example, Mark,
that you have not.
I'm catching up on you right now.
Yeah. Sorry, Taylor, go on.
What else do you want to know?
How many clients do you have, ballpark?
Yeah, we work with about 80 families around the country.
80 families. How many people on your team?
We're a team of 4.
Team of 4.
Yeah.
80 people. Okay. I just wanted to set that stage. And for everyone listening in, our goal on this show is to, we had Kitsis on, we've had some other people on. We'd love to reach out on the other side of the fence here and talk to some people that focus more on financial planning and kind of share ideas. So we're going to do some of that today with a non-401k guy. Yes, Chad.
I have a question about the business as well. You mentioned tax planning. Do you have tax preparers on staff? Do you have a CFP on staff? Or a CPA on? Oh gosh.
Nice.
We are CFPs, but no, we don't file taxes. We do tax planning.
Samson, I was trying to bait him like you asked.
Hold on,
baited myself
Taylor, just in case we can clarify, anytime you say an acronym, you have to drink. If that wasn't communicated earlier. Yeah.
24 minutes into the show.
We don't file taxes. We do tax planning. We pull the accountant. I don't want to use an acronym here. Into the picture when we're doing the planning, make sure everything gets filed properly. But no, we don't actually file the taxes.
Awesome.
Yeah. But I will say something, about my career path, in that in my early days, I tried to serve everybody. We were managing 401k plans. We were working with individuals, high net worth individuals, young professionals. And I don't know, 5 years ago, I went backwards and kind of cleaned house and got really focused on who I was working with. And I have so much admiration for advisors who are just like owning the 401k space and strictly focused on working with those. So we actually don't work with any, 401k plans at all. We strictly work with individuals. And that was a really, really hard thing for me to get over, like saying no to somebody. If a 30-year-old walked into our office with $10 million, I would really look at them and say, we don't have the right expertise to help you. So that's been
you can't help me? Damn, man.
You're not 30. Well, we're going to have a little bit of debates about that tonight, Taylor. I know that niching down has been something that's been talked about in financial services for the last 10 years. We've had conversation on the show in the past. We feel somewhat like that's starting to go away a bit. And we've got these large national aggregators in 401k. We've got big 401k companies that are looking to come steal your clients. And I know that you can niche down and do a great job for your clients and hang on to those 80 families. I'm sure you can, and run your business model. But I think in a wider span, a wider scope, it's financial planners, wealth managers, and 401k advisors need to be very cognizant of this convergence and this merging of offerings, because I'll also let you know that there's a lot of clients out there that like the concept of someone doing more for them than just one thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got two things to say. One is, if you look at any other professional world, attorneys, doctors, accountants, two things. One, you'll see that they are very niche down and work with a very, you wouldn't go to a brain surgeon if you needed heart surgery.
I would.
But also there are small mom and pop accounting firms and there are large accounting firms. And I think we'll see the same thing in the financial planning world as more and more advisors niche down. Also, if you look at large firms like Creative Planning, let's say, who does everything, and including taxes, they've got niches inside of that larger practice. So, if I was part of a multi-billion-dollar firm, we would be working to build different niche practices within that larger firm. You'd have a 401k department that strictly focuses on 401ks. So I don't think it matters what way you spin it, whether it's internal or just one small firm dedicated to a certain demographic.
I like your example of smaller departments within a larger company, because that's kind of what we're seeing in our space, right?
I was an advisor, one single advisor trying to serve all these different people, and that was chaotic and messy, and I was doing bad work for everybody. So I just want to do really good work for one type of person.
And to
like I
JD's,
said, go ahead,
I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, but to JD's point, the direction that we're seeing specifically in the 401k space is you see some of these larger firms that do have a group of 401k specialists that just do, and then you have an entire group of private wealth folks that are set out to go get people younger than 50 that are in the accumulation phase, and a group that's over than 50 to get decumulation. Like, they're niching down, but they're a larger organization, and they're going to be coming after those private wealth clients that many folks have.
Let me have fun and try to.
I haven't seen that before in my.
Let me have fun and try to scare Taylor just for fun and jokes, because I know Taylor runs a great business, and I do believe what I say. Like, he's going to hang on to his clients and grow his business.
Sure.
But imagine of those 80 families, some of these big time, well-to-do clients that make good compensation. They all work at, not all, but a lot of them work at companies, and we have big 401k providers that now want to get into your side of things, Taylor. And they have data, they have access to who these people are, their names, their annual compensation, how much they're deferring into their 401k plan, where their investments lie within the 401k plan. And so now they're strategically, and by the way, venture capital's behind them, private equity's behind them. You're talking hundreds of millions, actually billions of dollars of investments on one thing and one goal only. And that's to go steal some of your 80 families there and bring them in-house.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
And their Trojan horse to do that is the workplace 401k plan. Taylor says, I don't care. I'm not scared.
I think when you look at a firm like mine, we don't need thousands of clients to be successful and highly profitable. At 80 families, 100 families, 150 families is all we need. I think, if we're trying to grow a much larger firm and be the next creative planning, sure, like we're going to have a lot of headwinds in front of us, but it's just not something that I'm personally concerned about. I think about it. I mean, you look at Rick Edelman, and
right. He's getting into that. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
no.
So, but again, like I don't want to say it's quantity over quality, but it is a volume game.
I think that Edelmans are coming
to
to
honest.
Yeah.
They're going after low hanging fruit, guys. When we talked about disruptors coming into the 401k space, when we talked about robo advisors, they weren't going after Taylor's type of clients. Those clients are strong, they're stable, they believe in what you're doing, they see value in what you bring. They're going after the low hanging fruit, the advisors that aren't servicing those folks, those private wealth, those 50-year-olds that have had no tax planning from their advisor, but bought an annuity from them and have some private wealth that they rolled over from an old 401k to them.
And JD, you're
folks are gonna
forgetting
go
one small detail in that
Oh.
my clients are old and retired. They don't participate in 401k plans anymore.
Well, that's why I tried to
around me. I have a moat
Hey,
around me.
bro, not everyone who's age 51 doesn't work anymore. Taylor, come on, let's be real. You guys, I understand the ones that are in their 70s and their 60s, but you got to have clients that are working and or no, you don't.
They are all within 3 years of retirement. They are like on their way out the door. But even if that wasn't the case, I think, well,
I want to stick to Taylor's side and get some of his guidance, but Chad, I can't help but debate you for a second on the last one. And again, Taylor obviously doesn't fit this target, but that low hanging fruit that you're talking about, they don't know who's Taylor's client and who's not, or who has a good advisor. And so when Edelman comes to the market, which Taylor mentioned, and some of these other firms, they say that they're trying to get the small accounts and bring financial planning to the rank and file, which I'm going to talk about here next. But I know for a fact that they also are very willing to first. I would argue that their low hanging fruit is the large account balances first, regardless of whether they're being serviced well or not. They're going to be knocking on those.
Disagreeing with that, but I think you misinterpreted what I was saying. I'm saying that there are many folks in the decumulation phase that have lots of money that haven't found a Taylor yet. They're working with someone they went to college with.
But they don't know that. They won't know that.
I know. And that's what I'm saying is that when they target, they're going to target everybody. Shit, they got access to they're going after everybody. What I'm saying is that's not the people they're going to get. They're not going to get Taylor's clients. They're going to get the other ones.
Well, okay.
And I think they're going to be happy with that.
So then in all reality, Taylor doesn't care about this anyways, because his people aren't working these companies. But so one of Taylor's peers who has clients that are working, they are going to drip on those clients. And if that advisor isn't as squeaky clean and good as Taylor and has not followed up a little bit, I'm not saying they're a horrible advisor. I'm just saying real life has taken over and they haven't been doing the best job they could do. They are vulnerable to these widespread nets that these national aggregators are going to put out to try to catch them, and they will lose clients from time to time. For you to think that everyone out there is doing a phenomenal job, like your advisor and like Taylor, and they're not people out there doing a B- job or a C+ job and running a business, is naive.
That was my exact point, JD.
Okay. I'm going to say it and drink for it. Josh ITZOE'S podcast, the fiduciary, the letter starts with university. Has a dude on there, the newest episode 38. His name is Ben Pitts. He's with a company that's an acronym that I'm not going to say. Fuck. This is why I want Taylor here for this one. I encourage everyone listening in to go check out this podcast. I thought it was phenomenal. And I love to hear Ben and Josh go back and forth on fintech for 401k. Much like Taylor, Ben comes from outside 401k. has a heavy emphasis on what I want to talk about tonight, which is a financial plan. Okay. And what Josh and Ben talk about is very similar to next week's guest, Brad Aaron's brother, Grant of IntelliSense, which is, let's see if I can describe this right, Taylor. Delivering a financial plan to a 401k participant that's down and dirty, like that's like really stripped down. They're going to get a financial plan within, according to Ben, like minutes, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So maybe you can help out us 401k people who really a financial plan is not a big part of our day to day. Like, to be honest with you, I can imagine what one looks like, but I'm not really sure. So maybe you can explain to me and to the audience, like, what are the kind of inputs that go in? What does the output look like? And then does it freak you out to think that people are trying to create one that could be created in minutes versus I'm assuming yours are very robust and you sit down with someone and go through a bunch of questions, thoughts?
Wow. I mean, it's definitely a balancing act because I think you can go too far in the other direction too, where like, it's like you're going so deep that, life is so fluid and there's so many things that are going to change that it's thrown in the trash tomorrow. But the output of a plan is only as good as the inputs. And if it's taking you, a minute to put this thing together, that's a little careless and dangerous. I continue to think back to like the analogy of the doctor world. If you were going to go get a diagnosis from a neurosurgeon and it took a minute, like you'd be questioning things yourself. So I think you should, approach it the same way with your financial planning. As far as the things that go into a financial plan, I mean, I'd say every piece of your financial life should go into it. Everything from taxes to estate to investments to insurance. It's a long process. It's painful. And that's the hardest part is taking this like giant financial picture and making it a nice, easy process for the client. That's the hardest part is creating a good experience through that. I think that's where people struggle.
And do you start, are your relationships basically, is that a focal, a pillar to start with the financial plan? I mean, that's an obvious question, but.
Yeah, it's a requirement. Every potential client goes through our sales process is essentially a free financial plan, but we spend about 10 to 15 hours building that free plan for that potential client. There's a lot more to talk about there and why we do that. But we don't talk about investments. We don't even focus on investments through that process. We want to show our value through financial planning and what we can offer there. We would argue that investments are commoditized and, we can access low cost investments easily, back to the target date comment. So yeah, it's almost a requirement that they hire us for financial planning.
So let me discuss you even further. I think our industry, 401k, in its attempts to deliver a financial plan to, Mark hates this word, but I'll use it again, like the rank and file, like the thousands of employees.
Yeah. Can we just stop using that? And also
an alternative.
By the way, low hanging fruit. Come on, guys. That's
I knew that. I knew you were holding on that.
God, that's annoying.
I believe their goal is to use tech. And like I told you before, Taylor, so they'll have comp, whether they care, they'll have your address, where you live. They'll know, your social security number and what street you live on and how many kids you have and all this kind of stuff. And so they'll plug in these, and I don't know if those are the inputs they're going to use, but they're going to plug in these things and they're going to pump out this very down and dirty, as I mentioned earlier, financial plan. Let me ask you, Mark, the advocates of this stuff, the advocates of this say, hey, at least we're kind of kicking the ball down the road. This is something that they never would have gotten before. And I've heard them say this. They're like, we know we heard what everything Taylor said, but at least we're going to get them to focus on something, start to, make certain decisions about things. So Mark, is a little of something that's maybe not well built better than nothing built at all?
I think I'm having a little trouble understanding what you're asking me.
Talking about a financial plan, motherfucker.
I know, but I don't know. It's something you're asking me. It's something better than nothing. And my answer would be most of the time. But when it comes to something like this, I don't think that applies here. I think
Taylor used the word, it could be dangerous.
Yeah, no, I don't think I agree there. I think this is something that needs
What's
to
the
be
negative. Someone tell me what the
Could it be
negative is.
negative for?
Again, go back to the doctor world, and if like
I declare bankruptcy.
You have a serious medical problem. You have a brain tumor, and you go to a neurosurgeon, and they don't do the MRI, and instead they just say you look fine. Oh man,
Taylor, these aren't all your 64-year-old fancy pants clients. These are people that have $10,000 in their 401k plan.
All right, so that's where I was going to go next, which is if it is that type of demographic, then I would argue that making more money and saving money probably matters more than spending time, building a nerdy financial plan. So it does depend on who you're talking.
I'm once again asking for your financial support.
Brandon, what's going on?
I still don't understand how a little bit is a negative. And I get your analogy, but if I flipped an analogy back, it'd be like if I went into my general practitioner for a routine checkup and they said, you might have cancer, you should get more work. You should get more work done. Well, I'm thankful that general practitioner said that. That would be like getting the starting of a financial plan. At least I got something.
I don't like the doctor.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding exactly sort of what JD was getting at. And by the way, JD, it's always nice to have you offer up a question or a debate and basically always tell us all we're wrong when we have an opinion on the opposite side. Which what the fuck's the point of that? Well, no, you just fight it. You get real loud and shit. But anyways. Again, maybe I'm dumbing this down way too much, but Chad, to your point, what's the negative? What if you Google
tumor? It's not a tumor.
Brandon, too many of these right now. Chad, I'll kind of take into what Taylor's saying too. What if, but not as big, okay? What if you Googled what's this irritation on my arm, this rash, right? And you Google it. What are you going to find out, right? You have some sort of life-threatening disease and you're going to spiral and you're going to be bad. So I guess what I'm saying is if you have to plug your own shit into like an online calculator and it spits you out results and like now you think, oh God, everything I've done is wrong. And then you start reacting because we're all behavioral in that sense where we freak out. We start making rash decisions. I guess that is my point where I was going from.
What if those rash decisions actually get you set on the right path though? And it's not going to be.
No, don't get me wrong. It could work.
Can we put this in context for a second? It's not cancer, and it's
nice,
not
Tony. Nice, Tony.
And it's not a tumor. And maybe I was going too low with the 10,000 account balance. Let's say someone's got 60 grand in their 401k, but Taylor, they don't have a budget at home. They don't have emergency savings. They don't have a lot of these basics in place. And they're not working with people like you. One, because they don't have any investable net worth. Two, they're not over 50 years old. Three, they're not at the country club. And so no one's helping them. And so a 401k can be that workplace 401k can say, all right, look, 1,000 of you, here's a small modified down and dirty financial plan that's talking about an emergency savings, budgeting, how much your rent should be or your mortgage based on your comp, how much you should be spending on this versus that. And I think that's not like weird medical guidance that's going to send them in the wrong direction. It's just going to open up a percentage of them, not a lot of them, but it's going to open up a percentage of them to go like, oh, shoot, someone cares about this. There's help for me through my workplace. And maybe I should click that next link or make that next step to get my financial shit together.
Okay.
Let's spin the wheel of ice and then we'll play a game. Spin the wheel.
The wheel of ice.
I'm ready to open. I need it.
Chad wants to lose.
I do.
Brandon's gonna go deep on the memes.
Brandon always gets froze.
It's rigged. It's rigged.
I gotta go to the fridge.
You're in town. You're in the actual office.
Oh, he's up in Foster City.
Yeah.
The wheel of ice.
I thought we closed that place.
The wheel of ice has been safe the last 7 times in a row. So 2 things are rigged. Brandon's mic's going crazy. The wheel of ice is rigged, and the Giants versus Dodgers is somehow rigged as well because we can't seem to win a baseball game. All right, let's play. Let's play the incredibly
go Sports!
Totally original, never copying, best game on the shittiest Zoom in the world, the Nope or Dope game. All right, Taylor, this is the Nope or Dope game. We're going to do a slight golf edition. So if you don't play golf out there,
why are you holding it like that, Brandon?
Sucks to be you. I'm going to do a little golf Nope or Dope. If you like it, it's dope. If you don't like it, it's nope. And then you explain to me why. Have you seen this? There's a new trend
that looks good.
On the golf course, a fashion trend, wearing joggers, men's joggers on the golf course. Even some some people on the tour have been doing it. What say you, Taylor Schulte? Nope or dope on joggers?
I mean, they're a nope for me, but they're a dope for people that can wear them.
Yeah.
So if you pull it off,
you gotta be European. You got to be European.
Yeah.
To wear 'em.
Justin Thomas wears.
Did not look good in those joggers, dude. That was
because it's because he wears those old school style shoes. If he wore like cool, like athletic Jordans or something, it look awesome.
And he looks like Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons, walking around with those massive feet below his below his joggers.
Wow, you're an asshole. Oh.
I'm not going to ask Chad because Chad's calves are too big to wear joggers. I once asked him like 10 years ago, I said, Chad, you should wear those like skinny suits that people are wearing. And he goes, JD, I can't, my calves are too fat.
Truth.
All right, next Nope or Dope. We're going to move on. I mean, okay. Golf cart governance. You've trailed off the path. You're not allowed to be in this zone. Your golf cart shuts down and you're like, okay, I get it. I'm in the wrong spot. But now you're trying to get back to approved land and it only allows you to go 0.5 miles an hour. Nope or dope?
No, nope.
You're against that. I thought you'd be a rule follower. You're so serious. I thought you'd be like, well, you should have stayed within the rules, you know?
One little trick at Lacoste, there's little buttons up top. You just flick it off. You drive anywhere you want.
You flick it off.
What?
Oh, I was going to, Brandon discovered a hack on YouTube.
Shame on you.
Yes, you can hack your golf cart to it thinking that you are either the marshal or that you are handicapped.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Wow.
But no, I'm a huge fan of pace of play. I mean, it just kills pace of play. We should be able to drive all over the golf course.
And not slow you down to like some incredibly slow snail's crawl.
Yeah.
Mark, lamer game for you. Only lamer game for you.
Yeah.
Club covers for your irons. You want to keep them clean. Club covers. You don't want to banging around against each other.
Yeah. If you use those, please don't come to the golf course.
Yeah.
What
Everybody
if you
agree?
use them to travel? What if you use them to travel? Come on. When I fly places, I put them on. Every little one slips right on the edge of my
What
every
kind
one
of
of your family members had them on last week. And
Chad.
I had to bite my tongue.
Chad, what kind of irons do you have?
PXGs. Parsons.
Nice, Mark. Tiger Woods does not have club covers, does he? No, he doesn't. That's not cool. Okay, this is a classic one, Taylor. Waiting for the green to clear when it's clearly 15, 20 yards outside of your range. You're not going to hit a 328-yard three wood.
But you could.
But you're waiting for you hit it once in your life. Do you wait for that green? Be honest with yourself. I want to know.
Part of me is like, I paid to be out here. I deserve it. I deserve a chance.
You want a chance at it?
But
okay, Mr. Pace of Play. Yeah, okay.
But I am pace. I probably would not wait. So I'd say nope.
And you're not on the tour. Why don't you just lay up to 100 yards and work on your fucking wedge game?
Yeah, that's not very fun though.
No, but truthfully, if you're standing on the green on a 330-yard par 4 and the group behind you hits up on the green, what are you doing? I'm turning around and being like, damn, that's a 330-yard tee shot.
I mean, what's it
Like,
going to
I'm
do?
not-
Clip your ankle, give you a little
No.
boo-boo? It's not going to hit you in the
If
head.
I'm in the fairway at 300 yards and you hit it up on me, then I'm a little upset.
Justin, how do you feel about the colorful matte finished golf balls that are everywhere? I mean, they got all kinds of shades of yellow and green.
I am a
pink.
huge fan of them, JD, because it helps me find my balls in the shit.
Taylor, what's your golf ball?
I'm pretty boring. Just your plain old white Titleist golf ball.
Pro V's, huh?
I go tour speed. I don't know why. I just go
Oh.
tour speed. Yeah. I shave
Okay.
an extra $10 off the box. So,
Mark, I'm thinking you're a classic. There's no way you're playing with those matte yellow green balls.
Nope. I go to Costco and get them Kirkland balls, bro.
When Mark came to Missouri and he texted and he's like, dude, I got a dozen Kirkland balls and I'm pumped to play some golf.
2 dozen.
Two dozen. How many did you lose? Like
$23. None.
Okay,
Yeah.
Taylor, let me ask you this. This is a thing now. We leave the pin in while we putt. Like this is happening. When did this happen? Was this a COVID thing? Was this a professional golf association thing?
A rule change.
Yeah, the rule changed before COVID.
The rule changed before COVID. But you don't have to leave it in, right? But so why did we all decide that that's the thing to do now? I'm frustrated with this. I've let it go and I do it, but I prefer I look back on the old days of pulling out the stick and seeing that nice empty cup. Where do you stand on this, Taylor?
I suck at putting, so pulling it out, leaving it in is not going to matter anyway. So I'm indifferent.
Chad, in or out?
If I like the options, if I'm downhill, I'm going to leave it in. Help me
Oh,
out. If I'm
nerd
uphill, I'm
alert.
pulling it.
Okay, Bryson.
Justin, what do you prefer when you're staring at a 15-footer? You want it in or out?
I don't care. I suck at golf.
You leave it in.
all of the same.
Mark, you're a purist.
Okay. No. You'd be surprised. Okay. But I'll say this. For the past couple of years, it's been nothing but just leaving it in because we're just playing. We're going quickly to Taylor's point, pace of play. I go to Missouri, to Chad's Country Club, and play with his, Missouri professional friends. All those fuckers pulled the pin out. And I was like, really on
Hey,
every
we're still
putt?
playing
Like,
rounds in 4 hours, 3.5, 3 hours. and
I
45
know, but
minutes.
like
All right.
I don't know. If at first I was offended, like, come on. But then I got used to it. So then we started pulling the pin. I'm like, oh, now I kind of like it again, but I don't care. I'm indifferent.
All right, last one, and this is just for Taylor. Nope or dope. Is this okay or not okay? Using your golf club membership to secretly meet 50-plus-year-olds because you want to be their advisor.
No,
You don't do that.
no, I don't talk about business on the golf course. I'm there
You
to have
don't.
fun. I'm there to have fun.
Oh, I thought you were the stereotypical.
No, I don't.
You're
No.
there.
I don't
I thought you told your wife the membership was all about networking. You're
Absolutely
like,
not.
honey, I'm networking.
Dang,
No,
I like
no,
this
no,
guy
no.
a lot more
Absolutely
right
not.
now.
No.
Wow.
No clients, no business. I'm there to have a good time.
You know what I need to learn in life? Don't judge a book by its cover. I apologize, Taylor. I apologize to you.
Pretty sure everybody thinks the same thing about you when they meet you, JD.
Taylor, I'm going to let you choose. Do you want to talk recession and what the hell that means? Or do you want to talk, damn it, I lost my fucking notes. You have an investment strategy where you place value over growth. What the fuck is that called?
Factor investing?
Say that again?
Factor investing?
Oh, no, we're gonna go with the fucking recession because I'm gonna find this thing for the after show. Okay, there's conspiracy shit going on. I don't necessarily need to talk about that. This whole political thing of the definition of recession has changed. I don't care whether that's right or wrong. What I want to ask you is pretend I'm one of your clients. You know, I'm a 60-year-old who no longer works and I just invest my money with you. Do I care whether we're in a recession or whether we're not in a recession? And how does that impact how you're going to help me as my advisor?
You know, the types of clients that we take on and work with know that we've got this long-term approach. So we are not focused on what's happening right now or next year. You know, if you're 60 years old, you're still planning for the next 30, 35 years. So yeah, it's not something that we talk in depth about.
So if I'm closer to retirement, then I'm guessing at answers here, and recession is something that's either upon us or about to get stuck into for a period. You think that might impact markets negatively, and you might adjust things for me more conservatively if I'm later on?
Yeah, I mean, I think the 5 years leading up to retirement and the 5 years in retirement, so that 10-year window is the most vulnerable time in your financial life. So you should be planning 5 years ahead, and, you know, the potential of a recession or retiring in a down market should be part of that plan. It's the people that don't plan ahead. They go to retire and all of a sudden we're in 2022. That's the dangerous spot.
I found my notes here. I was listening to you on a podcast and you talked about evidence-based investing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. I hate that term.
And then you went, I don't know. And then you went on to say, oh, you choose value over growth. So it sounded to kind of go along with this, kind of lockstep with what you've told us so far, is like just very kind of, I guess, is conservative the right word, but like safe, prudent type of investing strategy over the long haul. Explain to me what evidence-based investing is.
Yeah, I hate the term.
Then why'd you use it on the podcast?
Well, I don't know what podcast it was, but I think in the advisor space, it's a term that people have latched onto. But I don't know, it's your very classic, like dimensional academic philosophy to tilting a portfolio towards small cap stocks and value oriented stocks. A lot of the Gene Fama, Fama French research that supports it. That, the strategy is baked in academic research. We're not trying to guess like what might happen in the future. We're saying here's evidence of how a portfolio works and how it will perform over a long period of time. And we're just going to own that portfolio.
Looking at past results, looking at all these different metrics and using that methodology to make your current decisions, evidence-based. It sounds more like normal quantitative is what we'd call it in the 401k space. Like you're just looking at all the metrics and stuff.
I mean, it's not rocket science to imagine that smaller cap, riskier companies should perform better over a long period of time, right? Like they're smaller, riskier. If you take more risk, you should get a higher rate of return over a long period of time. Over
a long period of time, right? Things get a little wacky in recent years and things, and we kind of turned some of the rules upside down, which concerns me sometimes that maybe all those past years don't make sense in a world where a lot of things have changed, right? Not just technology, but how markets are traded from an enterprise level, from an individual level. Like, I think it's a little worrisome to look back on how things have happened before when we live in such a different world.
That's why we're suing BlackRock, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because BlackRock screwed it up. All right. I'm going to ask you a few more things in the after show. If you'll stick around, you might bail. It might be a good decision for you to leave. I don't know. This has been a little boring, but let's go Chap Our Champion. And then we'll close it out with a song, and then we'll do a quick after show. Mark, I'm going to go to you first because you look surprised. Who's your vote for Chap Our Champion?
Oh man. There are a couple of good comments. I'll be honest. You know what? I do this from time to time. I really do. And it's motivation for these lovely people who join the show every week. Tonight was not a good night. I'm not placing a vote. I expect better.
Wow.
I want better.
Fails robe guy.
I'm just gonna say they phoned it in a little bit. I don't know if everyone's distracted because the Raiders are on. Maybe everybody really cares about that more than I do. But disappointed. I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed.
You offended some people tonight. I don't know if this has happened before. I'm sure it has. But in all honesty, from the bottom of my heart, I'm going to go for Greg Greenfield is my vote tonight. I thought he had phenomenal stuff. He's clearly eating his cookies and hopefully his ice cream too. How's the cotton candy, Greg? Let us know. But I think maybe he could go back to back. I think he's had a solid night. Justin, your vote.
Going Samsonite. He had an awesome "that's what she said" comment.
Okay.
I missed that one.
Wow. We can still do that in today's world. I didn't know that was okay.
It's
Chad,
really not what she said, but it's still good.
I said it earlier that Greenfield was mine as well. The GG with the OPP, I know, Mark,
okay.
was the best.
way
Because you know me.
to suckle my vote off of my teat, Chad.
I wrote it in the
Taylor?
chat bar if you were watching, JD.
Taylor, your vote for Chat Bar Champion.
I don't know what it was, but I marked down Tony Davis.
We love Tony. We love Tony and all of his conspiracy theories.
I like to hear about
Tony's a
those.
good one. Tony's a shoe-in most weeks.
Tony, keep those after show emails coming, buddy. I love them. I love them. I think it's only going to me and Chad, though. You should include Mark and Justin.
No,
and Brandon.
don't include Mark. Mark will rant for hours if you
On
include
what?
him on those.
On what?
Hey, I'm going to
Tony's
use
after
Greg
show email.
saying, "Release the Kraken." Brandon goes, "Just do this." We got Greg. We got Tony. Who else we got?
Samsonite.
Samsonite.
Jimmy.
Brandon.
Was it the wicked smart that got you, Justin?
That was the second one.
That made me giggle a bit.
Thank
He
you.
said
Thank
Taylor
you.
was wicked.
Thank you,
smart.
Brandon. Thank you, Brandon.
Brandon, you're
He
gonna.
has it. That's
Mark's
great.
gonna win based on that stupid shit.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Brandon.
Okay. This will come in and I'll get a little housekeeping while this goes. Next week's guest, I mentioned earlier, Grant Ahrens of IntelliSense. We've had his better dressed brother on the show before, and his brother loves to pull out. There's no winner. All right. No winner. Saves me of ordering
Ouch.
shit next week. By the way, you know how much money I've been spending on Chat Bar Champion? I mean,
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, JD. Just feel free to. How about this? How about you send me something? I just won that.
no, Mark, it's going to cost me like $4,000 annually, but I've been taking it out of your 401k match. So it's all good. It's all good.
Oh.
Excited to have Grant here next week because he can throw on the tinfoil hat too. And he's got some real issues with some of the subjects we talked about tonight. So I'm looking forward to getting.
Oh, see now look at the chat bars getting all feisty. Yeah, how about you bring that next week? Take that energy and freaking bring it next week. Come on, yeah. Greg crushed it. He always does, but he sets the bar here. Okay, it's different. Jeez.
Taylor, thank you for being our guest tonight. We're going to go on a quick 20 minutes after show. You can stick around and talk with us, or you can bail and then we'll just talk shit about you. Either way is okay with us. And if you might not know out there, but Taylor and I are at the same country club. Actually, our lockers with our little gold names right across from each other.
Wow. Pay extra for that.
So fucking special.
And Taylor, if you see me at the club and you'd like to just look the other way and pretend like you don't know, I'm totally okay with that. Okay, Brandon.
Pretty sure he's already done that.
Oh, and thanks to you out there.
Yeah.
Thanks to you.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I'm on dad duty, so I'm not going to stick around. So you guys talk shit about me.
We're going to talk some shit. Okay, love it. All right, buddy. Really appreciate you spending time with us. Take care of those kids. Everyone out there that tuned in, you're not wasting your time. You're not losers. I'm excited that you spend your time with us here on Thursday nights. You're 401k rock stars, and the Retireholics love you. So cuddle up to me and sniff some of my armpit juice because you're the best. All right, play some music, Brandon.